I've been very fortunate to have a number of very good friends over the course of my life, and there are several who have helped me materially, aside from their constant friendship. And one of them is a man named Mickey. He is he's a remarkably interesting, original type, and I've known him for over 50 years now, and I've known him much better in the last 11 years, but I knew his mother very well, and his whole family to some extent. They were residents of Martha's Vineyard when I started playing there, and a number of years ago, 17 years ago, when I started playing at Café Le Rope, this man came over and he said, "I know you from somewhere." And I said, well, it's probably either Boston or Martha's Vineyard. He said, "I never go to Boston. I hate Boston, but I live on the vineyard." So he told me his name, and I said, "I've only met you once or twice, but I knew your mother very well." And he said, "You knew my mom?" And he got so excited about it, and we developed a friendship that evolved. For a time, I played in a newly opened private club in Edgartown. It was still is, very swank. And the first year they wanted me to come up for a couple of weeks just to try it out. And so I told him about it, and he said, "Where are you going to stay?" And I said, "I haven't figured that out yet." He said, "I have a big house and I live all alone in it. You can stay with me if you want." And I did. And during the course of the time I was there, he said, I understand you have sons. Invite them down to visit and stay with me. I love having young people around." And they did. And Mickey has become like a very close uncle to them. They love each other, and it's a wonderful thing. But after the first summer that I stayed with him, he came back in the winter and he said, "I want you to write a song. I want you to write a song about how you knew my mother and our friendship and all of that stuff. I want you to write a song." He's an original. And I woke up in the night when I wanted to give it to him for Christmas. And around the 15th of December, in my typical way of putting everything off until the last minute, I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I woke up and the song was basically in my head. I stayed awake for several hours compiling it in my mind. And when I went downstairs the next morning, I played it for Claudette, and she started to cry. She loved it. At least I think she loved it. It might have been pain, but no, she told me she did. So I made the recording, and I gave it to Mickey for Christmas, and I didn't hear back from him for 4 or 5 days, and I kept trying to think of some way that I might have offended him in the song. But he finally came in and he said, "I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you, but I can't talk about it without weeping." He says, I've lost 10 pounds in tears. So, and he said there weren't tears of agony, so he loved it. And I've written songs, probably 10 or 12 songs for him every year. Not every year, but over 10 or 12 years for his birthday. But this is the one he loves the most, and it speaks. My kids say it's more about me than about him, but and they're probably right. But he likes it, and hope you will. When I was 19, I played in a cafe on the vineyard. It was lovely, just a little bit swank. I played for natives and tourists, young and old, rich and poor. I was paid by how much people drank. Well, one of my good friends was Edith. She was 46. I thought she was old, but she taught me some lessons that have helped me in life. Perhaps now it's time they were told. She taught me to listen to their stories, help them sing their songs, to try to be patient, gentle and kind, to look into their hearts, see into their souls, although I was totally blind. The decades flew by in the lounges. I played for presidents, rock stars and such. I played great music, raised 3 great children, made some great big mistakes. Like most others, I need forgiveness so much, but I still listen to their stories, help them sing their songs, try to be patient, gentle and kind. I tried to look into their hearts, see into their souls, and though I was totally blind, it's amazing how much life changes. It's amazing how life stays the same. But the lessons I learned from Edith helped me make it through the game. My friend Mickey comes into the cafe in Palm Beach. He is 76. I think he is young, but he's so like his sweet mother Edith. Ah, the memories, how far back they're flung, and I'm still listening to their stories, helping them sing their songs, trying to be patient, gentle and kind, to look into their hearts, see into their souls, and yes, I'm still totally blind. lot more flattering to sing when there's a big speaker that amplifies things and makes you sound better than you do. But there you have it. When I wrote the song, he was 65, but he's now 76. And since I'm 76, I think he's still young as well. All right, that's the thought for one of my close friends. There is another who, with his wife, are keeping in retirement. Not my last guide dog, but the one before that. And I needed to find the perfect home for him. And I had gotten to know these people several years before, and I found it in spades. They couldn't be nicer. They couldn't love him more. They have a big farm in Virginia where he and other dogs that he loves romp around and play to their heart's content, but he still sleeps on the mat on which he slept in our home, next to Vicky's bed, Vicky and Joe's bed. I've done this for Joe before, but the only thing that I know that he really loves is the sound of music, and I do it once a month or so for him, and it's time to do it again. those of you who may have listened last night, I told a story about how I acquired my first piano, my very own piano, and someday I'll tell it again, but it's too long to do it again now. But you can look it up, it's in the last show. After a while, that piano had, instead of the normal 88 keys, it had 73. So it went from here to here. So there was a whole bunch left in the bottom and a few at the top. And I was learning music that was impossible to play on it when I got into high school. And I needed another piano. And somebody donated one to Perkins, the school that I went to, and it was a very nice grand piano, and the music department convinced Perkins to give it to me, which they did, and the Lions Club in Rhode Island paid to have it moved down to Providence and installed up in the third-story apartment that we had, so it involved the mechanism that lifts it through the air and then through the window. It was, all the kids were watching in the neighborhood. But right around that time, I was visiting one of my aunts in Massachusetts, and she said, "Do you know this music from The Sound of Music?" And I said, "No, I've heard it's nice." And she said, "I have a record of it. Go in the back room and listen to it." And I did, and of course it's about 45 minutes, and I was enthralled. And when I came out, I said, "Can I borrow this for a little bit?" And she never said no to me about anything, but she let me do it. Not sure if I ever gave it back. But anyway, the next day when I was home from perhaps 10 in the morning till 12 or 12:30, I learned every song in the show. And I can't say that I played it a whole lot like this, but it was not too far from it in one day. And looking back on it, I suppose it's something to be astonished about, but it's part of the gift that I have, which I don't take any credit for because it was a gift and I have worked at it, but I don't know how it works. And everything I play here in these shows, particularly whatever comes into my head, is entirely spontaneous, and I have no idea what I'm going to play, and I don't know how I'm going to play it. It just happens. And speaking of that, I'm going to do whatever comes into my head, except that I'm going to do songs that another close friend, benefactor, loves. And there are some that aren't about dreams, but most of them are. And these are my friends in Toronto who watch, I believe, almost every night, and I hope they can find these songs. But his first song he plays for his wife whenever he sits down at the piano, and it's called "Nevertheless, I'm in Love with You." it's been a real delight for me to play for you, and I love getting the feedback that I get from some of you, and the whole thing is really a great joy for me. So thank you for joining us, and I'm pretty sure I'll see you Monday. In all likelihood, I will. So tell the people you love that you love them, and we'll see you Monday if the creek don't rise and something else doesn't happen. Good night now.